Poverty is the kind of thing that makes people want to commit suicide. Yeah. I think more and more people are coming to understand what being impoverished means in North America. 3.5 years ago, I separated from my husband. He was the sole income earner for almost our entire marriage. A marriage that is still ongoing, even though it's been almost 4 years since we've separated, because I can't afford a divorce. So he quit his job, and I, as a inexperienced, in a lot of ways, a housewife, tried to find a job. I had 2 kids, so it was very difficult to pull it off because I was in a rural, remote area. Yeah. I was left with the mortgage and all the bills to deal with, for the most part, and the kids, of course. And so I did everything I could to try to make it work, and we went through a lot, me and my kids, for those first 3 years. And I did everything I could to hold it, and I couldn't. My income was absolutely not enough to keep us going. And the job that I had, my kids hardly saw me. I was leaving before they got up, and I was getting home pretty close to bedtime. And so I had a plan. I had a plan that I was going to go and start a community, and it didn't work out. Now I'm back in the city. I decided to let the house go last year. This home was purchased in 2007, and we had a really shitty realtor, and the seller had a really shitty realtor. Shitty meaning they were inclusion. Of course, I can't prove it, but after I started talking in my community about what had happened, I found out there was quite a few other homeowners that had gone through the same situation. To make a very, very long story short, over the period of time that we were there, which was seven years or so, we paid $67,000 down on the home. We had already put down $30,000 as a down payment, well, 28 to be exact, and I think we had added around $20,000 or so, and we had paid that down as well. We had added that onto the mortgage for some renovations and a couple of other things. So the last paperwork that I remember seeing that we were owing something like $131,000 on the house. And like I said, when I sat down and calculated how much the mortgage was and how much we had paid down and what the down payment was and so on and so forth, we had paid almost $100,000 into this home already over a 7-year period. So July of last year, I had stopped paying the mortgage, I think sometime in April or May. And I mean, we had gone through, I had gone through so much living there, and probably 3 or 4 times a year the basement would flood. And the roof needed work, the foundation needed work, and as time went by that first year, and I started to find out more and more about the house, a lot of it had been covered up, and I did track down the previous owners, and they had said that the realtor knew that there was a big problem with the house, and so I tried to go through the real estate board, and of course, you know, not only having the seller's word and not really being able to prove it, just with, you know, meeting other people out there who had had similar experiences with our realtor and the seller's realtor. This is a little business that they had going on out there. So anyways, I'm trying to make this short. You know, being a single parent with 2 kids isn't easy, and yeah, I mean, we've gone through everything in the last 3-4 years. Food bank, facing homelessness, you know, getting utilities cut off, you know, yeah, things like natural gas, you know, your heat and your hot water and your power shouldn't be considered luxuries. And it's so sick because when you are in poverty, you know, it's such an expensive thing to get out of. The minute you don't pay your bill, you know, there's late fees, and if you do get disconnected, then, you know, you have a deposit fee, and every time you get disconnected because you can't pay it, the deposit fee is larger and larger each subsequent time. So, you know, I've gone through all of that humiliating stuff, and I also was the only one who had a contact number. So with my ex-husband's debts, when it came to the collection agencies and the bank and all these people wanting to look for him, they got my phone number, and yeah, like 53 phone calls in one day, and over 100 calls in 1 week. I remember that first fall after he bailed, because he quit working pretty soon after I told him, like, you can't come back here. It's just not going to work anymore. So I was getting all these crazy phone calls from these people, these, I can't think of any better word than savages, wanting their peace. And, it's not like I have all this money. Yeah, I smoke because I'm stressed out all the time. I don't go and get my nails done. I can't afford new clothes. I haven't seen a dentist in I don't know how long. I just try really hard to take care of myself and my kids as best as I can. And I think so many people are trying to do the same thing out there. You want to look at welfare rates and how small they are. I mean, I did go down that road for, I think 1 or 2 months in that first year. It's like $800 a month for me and my kids. That's what we got for welfare. And my mortgage was $803, So how do you pay your utilities? How do you buy food? How do you, keep even a landline working for the purposes of communication? It's insane. People really don't, majority of people don't have a concept of what that looks like. Anyways, I'm not here to necessarily tell you my sad story. I just think it's really amazing, because by the time all of this foreclosure stuff was said and done, the bank wanted $142,000. That's what they were suing myself and my ex for, was $142,000. And of course, we don't have shit. We don't have a pot to piss in. I'm living in my aunt's basement. I rent her, 1-bedroom basement suite for like $750 a month. I barely clear, now that I'm working full time again, $2,000 a month. So, when you're talking about transportation and feeding 2 kids, 2 boys, yeah, there's not a lot left over for luxuries of any kind, let alone just basic stuff. I'm really lucky that utilities are included in my rent. I didn't have the money for a lawyer. Legal aid was still $82 an hour. Again, still not divorced. So how do you solve all these things? Like, it's just this huge snowballing issue. So today I came home to a letter from the CMHC that they're wanting to sue myself and my ex for $55,000. And I'm not even sure why. And they're giving us approximately 5 years to pay that off. So, yeah, this is why people kill themselves. When, I'm lucky. I know that, mortgages are bullshit, and I know that we were totally shafted the whole way, and I know that it's all a big scam. Who can own really property and who can really own land? That's the system for you, right? So I'm sure I'm going to be making calls to the credit counseling people and finding out what to do about all this. I imagine I'm just going to file for bankruptcy because, I don't have $55,000, and my job does definitely not afford me $55,000 pay off even over 5 years. But the struggle is real. The struggle is absolutely real. That's why we're getting these stories about, murder, what do they call it, murder-suicides. There was an older couple outside the city a ways back. The husband, they were elderly, and the husband, killed his wife and then killed himself because he started getting, this kind of bullshit in the mail. And, the people, when they call your house, they're just being hoarded. And it's being hoarded by the people at the top. Government, corporations, the 1%. Those CEOs that make